Welcome back. There was a man named Einar, the son of Helgi Utterson, and the great-grandson of Bjorn the Easterner, who settled in Breidafjord. Einar was the brother of Osviv the Wise. Even at an early age, Einar was large and strong, and a man of great accomplishments. He began composing poetry when he was young, and was fond of learning. One summer, at the Althing, Einar went to Egil Skallagrimsson's booth, and they began talking. The conversation soon turned to poetry, and they both took great delight in the discussion. After that, Einar made a habit of talking to Egil, and a great friendship developed between them. Einar had just come back from a voyage abroad. Egil asked Einar about recent news and his friends in Norway, and also about the men he regarded as his enemies. He also often asked about the leading men there. Einar asked in return about Egil's voyages and exploits. Egil enjoyed talking about them, and they got on well together. Einar asked Egil to tell him where his toughest ordeal had been, and Egil spoke a verse. I fought alone with 8, and twice with 11. I fed the wolf with corpses, killed them all myself. Fiercely we swapped blades that shiver through shields. From the tree of my arm I tossed the plated fire of death. Egil and Einar promised each other friendship when they parted. Einar spent a long time in other countries with men of rank. He was generous, but usually had scant means, and he was firm character and a noble man. He was one of Earl Hakon Sigurdsson's men. At that time there was much unrest in Norway. Earl Hakon was at war with Eirik's sons, and many people fled the country. King Harald Eiriksson died in Denmark, at Hals in Limfjord, when he was betrayed. He fought against Harald, the son of Canute, who is also called Gold Harald, and against Earl Hakon. Arnbjorn the Herseer died with Harald Eiriksson in that battle. When Egil heard of Arnbjorn's death, he composed this verse. Their numbers are dwindling, the famous warriors who met with weapons and spread gifts like the gold of day. Where will I find generous men who beyond the sea that nailed with islands girds the earth, showered snows of silver onto my hands where hawks perch, in return for my words of praise? The poet Einar Helgason was nicknamed Skallagrim, Bowl Rattle. He composed a drape about Earl Hakon called Lack of Gold, which is very long. For a long time the Earl was angry with Einar and refused to listen to it. Then Einar spoke a verse. I made mead for the battle father while everyone slept about the noble warrior who rules the lands. And now I regret it. I think that the spreader of treasure, the renowned leader, considers few poets worse than me. I was too eager to come to see him. And he spoke another verse. Let us seek to meet the earl who dares to make meals for the wolf with his sword, adorn the ship's oar-sides with ornate victory shields. The warrior who swings his sword like a serpent inflicting wounds will not turn his hand to rebuff me when I find him. The earl did not want Einar to leave then, but listened to his poem and afterwards gave him a reward, a shield, which was an outstanding treasure. It was adorned with legends, and between the carvings it was overlaid with gold and embossed with jewels. Then Einar went to Iceland to stay with his brother Osviv. In the autumn, Einar rode over to Borg and stayed there. Egil was not at home, having gone north, but was expected shortly. Einar stayed 3 nights waiting for him. It was not the custom to stay more than 3 nights on a visit. Einar then prepared to leave, and when he was ready to go, he went to Egil's bed and hung up his precious shield there, and told the people of the household that it was a present for Egil. After that, Einar rode away, and Egil came home the same day. When he went to his bed, he saw the shield and asked who owned such a treasure. He was told that Einar Skallagrim had been there and given him the shield as a present. Then Egil said, That scoundrel! Does he expect me to stay awake making a poem about his shield? Fetch my horse, I will ride after him and kill him. Then he was told that Einar had ridden away early that morning. He will have reached Dalir by now. Then Egil made a drapa which begins with this verse. It is time to light up with praise the bright bulwark I was given. The sender of generosity's message reached me at my home. I will steer the reins well of the sea king's horse. My dwarf ship of verse, listen to my words. Egil and Einar remained friends all their life. It is said of the fate of the shield that Egil took it with him when he went north to Vidimiri with Thorkel Gunvald's son, who was going to fetch his bride there, and Bjorn the Red Sun's scarf and Helgi. The shield was dilapidated by then. It had been thrown into a tub of whey. Afterwards, Egil had the fittings taken off, and there were 12 ounces of gold in the overlays. Thorstein, Egil's son, was a very handsome man when he grew up, with fair hair and a fair complexion. He was tall and strong, although not on his father's scale. Thorstein was a wise and peaceful man, a model of modesty and self-control. Egil was not very fond of him. Thorstein, in turn, did not show his father much affection, but Asgard and Thorstein were very close. By this time, Egil was growing very old. One summer, Thorstein rode to the Althing while Egil stayed at home. Before Thorstein left home, he and Asgard decided to take Arnbjorn's gift, the silk cloak, out of Egil's chest, and Thorstein wore it to the thing. It was so long that it dragged along the ground, and the hem got dirty during the procession to the Law Rock. When he returned home, Asgard put the gown back where it had come from. Much later, when Egil opened his chest, he discovered that the gown was ruined, and asked Asgard what the explanation was. She told him the truth, and Egil spoke a verse. I had little need of an heir to use my inheritance. My son has betrayed me. In my lifetime I call that treachery. The horsemen of the sea could well have waited for other sea skiers to pile rocks over me. Thorstein married Jofrid, the daughter of Gunnar Hillarson. Her mother was Helga, who was the daughter of Olaf Felan and sister of Thord Bellower. Jofrid had previously been married to Thorod, son of Tungu Odd. Shortly after this, Asgard died. Then Egil gave up his farm and handed it over to Thorstein, and went south to Mossfell to his son-in-law Grim, because he was fondest of his stepdaughter Thordis of all people who were alive. One summer a ship arrived in Leirvog with a man called Thormod at the helm. He was Norwegian and lived on the farm with Thor's son, Thorstein the Herser. He brought with him a shield that Thorstein had sent to Egil Skallagrimson, a fine piece of work. Thormund gave Egil the shield, and he accepted it with thanks. Later that winter, Egil composed a drapa in honor of the shield he had been given, which he called the Drapa of the Shield. It begins with the verse, Hear, king's subjects, my fountain of praise from long-haired Odin, the guardian of sacrificial fire. May men pledge silence. My words of praise, my seed sown from the eagle's mouth, will often be heard in Hordaland, O guider of the wave-cliff's raven. Egil's son Thorstein lived at Borg. He had 2 sons outside wedlock, Rifle and Frafn, and 10 children with Jofrid after they were married. One of their daughters was Helga the Fair, whose love Hrafn the poet and Gunnlaug Serpent Tongue contested. Grim was their oldest son, followed by Skoli, Thorgir, Kolsvein, Hjorleif, Halli, Egil, and Thord. They had another daughter named Thora, who married Thormund Klepjarnenson. A great family is descended from Thorstein's children, including many great men. Everyone descended from Skallagrim is said to belong to the Myrar clan. Thank you for joining me. Tack ska du har du en hygglig dag.